Everybody is so captivated by this.
Well,
like, I get it. Coming off the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing, like, that was the best court drama that we've seen in the last 10 years. Like, it was, I watched it.
This won't be televised.
Well, that's a bummer. See, now I'm not interested anymore.
I know, it's quite sad.
Settle it outside
there are
of
those
court.
reports now that, and again, obviously, it's all hearsay, right? That's a good legal word.
I don't know if that's a legal word.
You know, I've never...
a legal word?
An out-of-court statement used for the truth of the matter asserted. That's like what they teach you in law school.
Hearsay?
Wow.
That's what hearsay.
Oh, really?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Brotherly Love Pod. It's Friday. We're back in the house with the older brother,
Welcome
Joe.
back, Joe. Round of applause.
Thank you.
Joe was out of town. If you didn't notice,
Joe's back in the house.
He was zooming in the last episode.
It really sucked.
Honestly,
I hated it.
I loved it.
You zooming from vacation.
I loved it.
Of course you would love it.
No, I was working. It was a workcation.
Oh, yeah.
It was a workcation.
Oh, yeah. A
But
lot of work going on.
A lot.
Cuts Instagram. Cheers.
Yeah, because that's what you do when you're on workcation. You cheers.
You make,
But
I'm
actually really thrilled to be back.
Oh, wow.
But I am thrilled because we have a very special guest today.
We have a legal expert and our good friend Katie to discuss the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni drama.
Legal drama.
Yes.
Here we are.
Yes.
Because it's everywhere and I know nothing about it. And our
Like
good friend,
everybody
my
is
good
discussing
friend
right
Katie came by, who's a lawyer and knows a lot about this, and was willing to fill us in and give us an hour of her time to kind of clue us in on what the heck's going down.
So Katie
Give
is
us the scoop.
and I know Katie, not obviously as well as you know Katie, but Katie, you're a lawyer, right?
Yes,
And you've been following this case.
I have been.
All right, and here's the deal. I don't really know a lot about it either. I know my wife has been following it a little bit because everybody's been following it. But I feel like what's interesting to me is that, and all I'll say is this, and then I'll let you take it. I'm probably not going to talk too much. But
Shocker.
I don't know
about that.
because I don't know
You
too
to
much
talk,
about
Joey.
it.
Yeah, Joe talks a
But
lot.
I feel like, and this is just judging from the little bit that I've seen, is that it started off pretty strong with like one narrative. And then like this weird slow pendulum shift has kind of gone to this slightly other narrative that may be gaining steam. And I feel like that's kind of where we are, but you tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, you're hitting the nail on the head. Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, that's generally what happens with a lawsuit, right? When the original complaint came out, we saw Blake's side of this,
Right.
which painted one picture.
Right.
And then we started to see Justin's side over time when he finally filed his suits. The first one was against the New York Times, and then secondly, he filed against Blake and Ryan.
But they were like $250 million suits or something.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't that ridiculous?
Yeah. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? And there's multiple causes of action, and we'll see who wins on what.
So he's suing the New York Times.
Correct.
For false information or something, right?
Yeah.
What is he suing them for?
So defamation,
Okay.
false light, which is very similar. I also think that there was a promissory fraud in there as well, because if you look at the facts, I don't know if I'm putting that to sleep.
No. Honestly, I love all this stuff.
What is
that? No,
It's oddly mirroring the Drake lawsuit.
What's promising?
He's suing everybody too.
He
What's
is.
Defamation is right.
I'm not as up to speed on Drake, but I feel like
What?
now I need to go down that rabbit hole, but it reminds me of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
Okay.
So what's promising? You just said what's the promising
Promissory fraud.
thing? Promissory fraud. What is that?
Hold on, I got to bring something. You just said it reminds you of the Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing.
Yes.
What's crazy about this case is that there's not even a relationship or a divorce at play.
No.
It's just this weird, crazy. It's
Well,
like they're going through a breakup, but yet
Why is
there
it getting
was
so
never
much
a relationship.
attention? Like what?
What's promissory? Can you tell me what that is?
What they're basically alleging here is that there was a promise made. They didn't intend to comply with that promise, the New York Times. And then they were effectively damaged because of it. And what I think that they're trying to say here, and everything here is alleged, or my opinion, let's just caveat that quickly.
Right.
I think what they're trying to say is originally Justin's team was given something like 14 hours to respond when the New York Times was going to put out the original article.
Okay.
They didn't even get the 14 hours. The article was actually published early.
Right.
So
yeah. Wow. Okay. So they have a point there. So he may have a point there.
He may have a point there, and we're going to have to see, as more facts come out, as more evidence gets included here.
Right.
This is going to take time, but I don't think it's going away anytime soon.
Doesn't seem to be.
No.
And he's suing Blake and Ryan.
Correct.
Too. And what's he suing them for?
Well,
Kind of the same stuff or what?
Similar things here, right? Definitely defamation.
Right.
And then they're also suing him or Blake is suing him for sexual harassment and retaliation.
I saw that.
So just to recap, because we jumped right into this. From my interpretation, because I really am just picking scraps from tabloids and news
Just like I
articles
do
here
in
and
the
there.
trash.
Yeah, just like I do in the neighborhood.
Sort of
every
nosing
Thursday.
through the trash.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong. They made this movie together. Okay.
Yes.
Wait,
This
allegedly.
is, what is it?
No,
They
actually made the movie.
You get carried away with the alleged. They allegedly made this movie.
And remember, this isn't financial advice. This is just my opinion.
They allegedly did everything.
But if you do want some
Doesn't even
financial
apply.
advice, go buy gold with Roslyn Capital.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. This gets really
Bronson Capital comes on the screen.
So
Not
I love William
sponsored.
Devane.
They have a new
William Devane, who does those commercials, he goes like this.
Yeah.
Back in the day when battleships were made to stand the test of time.
Gold. I love those commercials. He's great.
I buy gold from Roslyn Capital.
It's so
okay,
good.
hold on. Hold on.
We're hitting-
Listen, wait.
And if you want to
wait.
get Andy's new gold bar, it's Andy on the front. He's imprinted into the gold.
This will allegedly bring you wealth.
Yeah, no, so okay, so basically they're making
Andy's magic hands.
this is the end. This is what is it called? The movie they
It
made?
ends with us.
Ends with us, which is ironic, actually.
I think it's
But,
appropriate.
okay, so they're making this movie together.
Barely the entire industry ends with those two.
So they're making this movie called.
It might.
Yeah.
No,
I
truly,
know.
because it's like, well, what is Hollywood supposed to do
Everybody's
if you
bringing
can't
everybody
film
down.
intimate scenes?
I know.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
I gotta tell you, yeah. Ooh. Okay, so I have a intimacy coordinator story, which is they're great, I guess. You know, whatever, sure, whatever we need. Anyway, I digressed. They're making a movie. It ends over at us. What is it? Ends with us.
At this point,
And-
the name.
Ends at us.
It's over the room for us. What is
with
it?
us. And somehow, during this process, I supposedly am hearing, and maybe the narrative is being portrayed this way in the media, but allegedly, maybe Blake Lively wants some more. Like, so it's Baldoni's movie, right? He's like
Yes.
he bought the options to the
Oh, I
book.
know where you're going now.
No, I'm explaining what the heck we're talking
I know
about.
where you're going
Yeah, I'm
with this.
explaining what we're talking about because I want to make sure what you know.
I-
So they allegedly he has the options to this movie. He has his leading lady. He wants to make sure that she's creatively hands-on, which is awesome as artists do because that's what a movie is,
And
right?
because
It's
her husband
collaborative.
is Ryan Reynolds.
Why wasn't you interrupted me? Sure, whatever. And then he feels like creatively the narrative is being portrayed that they maybe Blake and her husband Ryan maybe took over this movie like a little too hands-on and tried to push him out of his own freaking film.
Yes.
Not allegedly. That's pretty obvious.
It does.
She even said it herself. Did you see that
Yes,
clip of
the
her?
clip does not make her look good.
Oh my gosh, she's sitting there at a like the Q&A after or before a film or something.
It was like 2 years ago. I don't know what the context of it was. She was promoting one of her brands at the time. I think maybe Betty Buzz or.
Okay, and somebody asked her
Bitty boop.
a question in regards. I don't know the exact question, but it was unless you do. Do you know the exact question?
Oh, I watched it, but I couldn't.
I know it's like it's somewhere.
Word
Say-
for word, what
it's-
did she
started
say?
it's
No, I'm
so-
just kidding.
As
it's-
long as you start off with she allegedly said
Allegedly
you're
said.
fine.
Well, no, the question
I'm just
was
gonna say that
somewhere
in
around
everything in life.
everything.
now.
It was somewhere around like what do you find? What do you think people are most surprised about you, Blake Lively, when you arrive on set or something like that? She said, I think the most surprising thing is that when people hire me, they think they're hiring an actress. But really, when I get there, I don't feel fulfilled just as an actress.
Right.
I have to be involved in every aspect of the making of a film to feel fulfilled. And that sometimes rubs people the wrong way. And then she went in to say, I've even had directors come up and say, we didn't hire you to help direct this movie. And she said, well, you know, that's just, and she said, and I feel even bad because I don't tell them beforehand. But once I get on set, they find out real quick and you're like,
This sounds terrible.
How do you know when there's a force that is pulling you in a direction that you should follow versus one that may distract you?
I mean, I think I've just done it enough. You know, you learn to sort of, when I was younger in my life and career, I would sort of shape myself to the version of myself that I thought that they wanted. or when I would show up on a set, I knew that they just wanted me to show up and look cute and stand on a little pink sticker where I'm supposed to go and say what I'm supposed to say. But I also knew that like that wasn't fulfilling for me, that I wanted to be a part of the storytelling, that I wanted to be a part of the narrative, whether that be in the writing, in the costume design, in creating the character. And sometimes I had directors or producers or writers who would welcome that and invite that once they saw that I was able to offer that. And sometimes I would have people who really resented that because they were like, we just hired you to be an actor. Yet when I went in the meetings, I would just seem like I'm just there to be the actor and ready to get the gig. I wouldn't reveal that I actually need to have authorship in order to feel fulfilled. So I think that for them, sometimes that might have felt like a rug pull because you're like, you're trying to assert yourself into something that we didn't hire you to do. And so it was a really strange position to be in because I felt like I don't want to just like be an actor. Like I want to, I want to have more authorship.
So anyway, they making this movie, which and again, nothing gets played lively. But
was this Justin's Baldoni's first movie?
No, I think he had directed a few others through Wayfarer. One was about somebody with cystic fibrosis, and another was about someone with cancer.
Oh.
I think Wayfarer Studios as a whole wants to make movies that are impactful.
Okay.
And that's why...
Which is such a shame that this all mess
because this movie is about DV.
Yeah.
Right.
And, I mean, it's based on a best-selling book.
Right.
But obviously very sad subject.
Yeah.
And how crazy is it that then the lead actress of the movie about that pretty much claims the director did it.
Well, I mean, I think there's more like punching, and I
it's
didn't
more
even watch
physical.
the whole movie,
abuse.
but like
if anybody's throwing around sexual harassment, that's pretty.
No. Sexual harassment is a very serious.
And if he
claim.
is guilty
but
of it,
there are those
then
reports
he's gotta be
now.
taken down.
That, and again, obviously, it's all hearsay, right? That's a good legal word.
I don't know if that's a legal word.
I've never
a legal word.
an out-of-court statement used for the truth of the matter asserted. That's like what they teach you in law school.
Hearsay?
That's what hearsay.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yes.
So we can unravel this in a somewhat timeline that makes sense. They start this movie, everything's hunky dory, and then supposedly the power struggle begins, whichever is struggling on set, right? Then they wrap, and then supposedly.
Well, they wrapped because of the strikes, right? So,
Right.
So they were filming. I believe it was beginning
So
of
this movie's
May.
losing money now. Just okay. No, I'm just go ahead.
No,
I'm just thinking.
no,
thinking. Yeah,
That's a very valid point, right? And that's
Movie's
part
now
of
in
the
the
point
hole.
that Justin's team is making in kind of complying with what they're viewing as threats made on her behalf against Justin. Is like, well, there's this financial consequence to everything in addition to the strike consequences too, right? So they filmed May to June, then shut down for the strike, and then they were down until January. But I think that the strike lifted in November, but then she had all these return to work provisions that she needed signed. And so then I think they only had a few more weeks after that. The movie was mostly shot, I think it sounds like. They only had a few more weeks
Movie
to
they
go.
shot 8 weeks, like all of May, all of June. That would make sense for a movie that size.
And do we know anything about was there any like struggle, and just a curiosity, like when did the power struggle begin?
Right away, it sounds
like post-production type of stuff?
Well, no, I mean it
set,
yeah. So
but I'm saying when
everything that she alleges for the sexual harassment was prior to the strike, first of all. She said that nothing happened after the strike. But then before that, her struggle to kind of have creative authorship, as she would call it, writing scenes,
yes,
handling her wardrobe. I mean, that started, it sounds like, in pre-production.
Yeah.
And then she wanted all the access to the dailies to do her own editing.
Well,
she got rid of the editors. Hired her own editors, got rid of the composer, hired her own composer even after they had already hired an orchestra, all alleged. This is what he alleged. So that, I mean...
Well, then, that, I honestly, at that point, somebody, professionally on the studio side should probably step in and take...
a little bit more control. And
I think a studio would have stepped in and maybe been the villain.
Right.
To finish the movie's sake and go, you can't do this.
Right. So there's
we hired people
few things on the studio side that are interesting is obviously Justin co-founded Wayfarer. Maybe that's not obvious. So Wayfarer was the studio.
Wait, what? Oh, Justin Baldoni was the studio.
Yes. He was co-founder and co-chairman alongside his business partner, Jamie Heath. of Wayfarer Studios.
Is this
and
a real studio? Well, obviously they had money because they make
They
movies.
co-financed. Steve Sarowitz, I think, is the backer.
Okay.
Who's a billionaire.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's a billionaire from.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
So
they
this is all a tax write-off for him. No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
they co-financed it with Sony, who was also the distributor. But then when Blake had gone to Sony, they said, no, Wayfarer is really in charge of the set. Like any HR complaints need to be fed to Wayfarer and not to Sony.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's sort of like
that's not
insider
cool.
trading because
Yeah, that's not cool.
if Sony's saying you got to talk to the studio,
That's not
we're just
cool.
the distributor,
Yeah.
but the studio's the one that you're alleging the complaint against.
Yeah,
The studio is
that's a tough
basically auditing itself,
Right.
which is not always going to be sort
No.
of
And I can understand that is a problem, right?
That is a
Right.
problem.
right.
And
Neither,
who knows?
yeah.
Maybe
Sony's talking about it in-
It's Sony's fault. It's someone over at Sony should have taken one on the chin and stepped up and to have the conversation,
And
been a mediator, and they didn't.
presumably Sony has this long-standing relationship with Ryan, right? Because
Of course.
yeah, and so that kind of played part of it. And I think that some of the earlier complaints about the wardrobe, I know some photos got leaked of her wardrobe and people didn't like them. And then Sony asked Wayfarer, Justin, to go in and talk to her about the wardrobe because she wanted to control the wardrobe.
I mean,
People
that's
weren't
pretty
happy with
normal. I
it.
got to be
Yeah.
honest with you. Like the wardrobe stuff, I think a lot of actors want to come on and have a heavy hand in because it's how they feel as a character and stuff.
This is how the world's changed, though. Is it? And unfortunately, we talk about this all the time. But unfortunately, social media and the public domain, it's so accessible now to everybody, right? And they all feel like everybody wants to have a say at the table. And sometimes, like, you speak out of turn. You shouldn't actually have a say at the table. Some people should just watch, and other people should make. The watchers shouldn't have a say, but they do a lot of the time. It's cool to have an opinion. The problem is, like, back in the day, wardrobe pictures never would have been leaked because there was a professionalism there. So that creates a situation for a studio and for a distributor that they shouldn't have to deal with. Because if those pictures were never leaked, all of a sudden now egos are involved.
Yeah.
And unfortunately in our industry, and I guess in a lot of industries, there is a lot of egos, and it's like, and also there's a lot of insecurities. We've all been victim of that. You worry about, unfortunately, you have to see yourself everywhere you go. I basically see horrible pictures of myself everywhere I look. I mean, I look horrible everywhere.
I do too, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm looking
I
at
see
myself
awful
going,
pictures
these are
all
the
over the
worst
place, yeah.
pictures. I mean, we've joked about it on this pod. I've been referred to as AI because I look weird. Like if people think I've had face work and all these weird things. So people, again, then all the commenters come out there and they start, and then it already fuels insecurity and ego.
Let's get back on it.
And now you're fired up. You're basically just putting kerosene on fire.
I have an experience of this. I was doing a movie. I was at kind of a high point in my career, and I thought that I had a good tap on what I was like 21, maybe 21, maybe 20, I don't know. But I thought I had a good tap on what like young people wanted to see young people wearing. And so I went in, did the wardrobe fitting, and I didn't really like some of the stuff. So I brought a bunch of my stuff back the next day, and I was like, I want to look like this and like this and like this. And then I went to my makeup test, and I'm sitting there in the makeup chair, and the director comes in and he goes, "What's going on with the wardrobe?" And there was a lot of big people behind the lens, and I was like, some of the stuff, man, it's like, I feel like I would know better. And he goes, whoa, stop right there. You definitely know better about the character. You definitely know better about how, you can portray things better for you, maybe not the way I want it, but better for you on camera. He was like, but I hired a wardrobe person that I liked, and then I told her what it is I wanted you to wear, specifically maybe for comedy, maybe not for how cool you're supposed to look, but for what I'm supposed to convey in the scene. And he was like, and let me tell you this, when it comes to the department heads in the department that I hire, these are the people that are there to help you. The last thing you want to do is set a bad first impression with these people, because these people come straight to me when there's a problem.
Yep.
It's true. I was like, wow, big lesson. I apologized to him, apologized to the wardrobe person.
It's true.
And then after that, here's what was so cool, because people are reasonable, but there's a chain of command, there's a ship, it's like an army. The coolest thing was they came in and they gave me certain scenes where I was able to wear what I wanted to wear that didn't affect his plan for the arc of the character and the arc of the movie. And so it was a good bit of a compromise.
Totally.
I got to
That's
see something.
That's what it's about.
And so that happens.
It's the
in a sense, I
compromise.
understand what I'm getting at. I understand both sides. I understand Blake's side, and I also understand
Yeah.
the wardrobe and the chain of command, the director.
Well, also, there could be
the
a
studio.
palette. What if the DP,
And-
you know what I mean? There could be a color palette of a scene, or you don't know what the reasons are, but there could,
Exactly.
it could be much bigger than just
Than
the
just
wardrobe itself.
the way you want to look in that moment.
Totally.
Now, on top of that, I think, my point to going back where I was saying I was at a high point in my career, I think that maybe, again, this is just my own opinion, that Blake, because of the relationship she's in and the type of power that Ryan has, and the fact that that's been growing for a long period now, I think maybe she's put herself in the same place that maybe Ryan would be on the set. Kind of naturally, subconsciously, you're married to the guy. You treat, people are starting to treat you the same way they would treat him in the business. And maybe she's starting to think, hey, I can now pull the strings the same way my husband does.
Especially
on
if she,
set.
as you said, naturally has an inclination to do it anyway.
And she naturally, I think that's what she wants to do. I think it's obvious what happened, personally, from my perspective. However, on the flip side, do I think Justin gets on my nerves? I do get the Deadpool, the nice thing. Even that message, I mean, I'm thinking of all the
What message?
times,
Well, hold on.
the message he left
But
for Blake Lively
so
at
this
2
is-
in the morning.
Oh, the voice memo.
But this is the thing, though. This is the thing. He's.
It was so nice, Pool. It was crazy.
I know, but this is
He's
the
like,
thing,
hey,
dude. He's got.
It's 2 a.m. I just can't believe that everything went down today, and I just want to tell you how much I appreciate.
And it's in this sexy, like, night voice. Anyway, all these women are like swooning over this 6-minute message. But for me as a guy, I'm going, I would never leave a voice message on any coworker's phone like that at 2 a.m. in the morning.
And wasn't it a voice memo?
I think it was.
And unfortunately, she set a precedent of
Whatever.
that's how she liked to communicate.
Weird.
And he was trying
I wouldn't do it.
to probably navigate
What do
it
you
the
mean-
best that
what do
he
you
could,
mean she
you know?
set the tone. What do you mean?
she
like,
was
she
sending
was-
paragraphs.
She was
and-
she was not
Yeah.
he actually stopped the conversation. She was
He did.
really trying to instigate lots of conversation.
You nailed a good point.
But
And-
what-
when it
and
comes to the
he-
receipts,
he
what
didn't
was-
know
what was her tone.
the texts, her tone
It was weird.
Was always the one that seems to be the aggressor
Yeah, it was very
of the
aggressive.
relationship.
Yeah.
She would be the one that would throw out quips
Yeah.
about having her nipple out with a baby, or
Yeah.
she was the one that was throwing these things out initially. It was definitely her to him. I didn't see any receipts.
What do you mean? I'm sorry. What?
Text messages, conversations, anything in all the stuff that I've read or looked up. Have you found anything where he was the aggressor with that kind of behavior?
He doesn't seem aggressive. He has therapists speak, right? Like in
Right.
his messages, which I get. It gets on some people's nerves, but I don't think there was anything wrong with it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was disingenuine potentially.
Yes.
But I don't
disingenuous.
potentially,
Yeah.
but I don't think that and it was but I don't know if also again, he's trying to navigate how to communicate and he probably doesn't know how like to this person because it's probably scary, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he might be a little intimidated too.
Oh, I'm
'cause
sure he
it is-
was. Yeah.
She is, you know.
Can you imagine Justin Baldoni is going to meet Blake? There's obviously some riffs on the set.
Yeah.
She calls him up to the house and he gets there and there's a big table and it's Blake Lively,
Taylor Swift,
Swift,
Ryan Reynolds, and they have the scripts in front of them. They have the script. This is true.
Can
they
you
have the script
imagine
in front of
showing
them,
up to that?
and they give notes to him on
Hey,
what needs to
guys.
happen.
And he's sitting there, he's like,
Wait.
oh, these are
Partially
great
true.
notes.
Yeah.
Wait.
Great
Taylor
notes.
Swift was there?
Yeah, yeah.
Taylor Swift,
And-
it definitely seems like Taylor Swift was there. I mean, she's mentioned in the text messages.
Yeah.
And it doesn't sound like she fights that allegation
No.
much in the press, at least.
Yeah.
It sounds like
Taylor Swift?
yeah, there's a
I
few
know.
portions of Taylor Swift in this that we've picked up. So Blake even says on the red carpet, or the girl who played young Lily in the movie was like, Taylor Swift hired me, or like was the one that got me this part.
Oh.
And then all alleged, and then
Yes,
keep adding the
allegedly.
word in here.
Mm-hmm.
But then also one of the meetings where they were going over the rooftop scene that Blake says she wrote it, and then I guess Taylor and Ryan were there being like, yeah, this is great. You should
You should use
include
it.
this.
Yeah.
And then, but then on a later red carpet after the movie came out, Blake says that Ryan wrote the scene.
Right.
And then Sony sends a note to Wayfarer, which this email was included, saying, hey, did we have a document between us and Ryan?
And Ryan to
for
do
writing
rewrites.
this?
That's
What
bad.
And they're like,
show.
we had no idea. We're learning of this in real time too. And so that is where this gets.
So it starts spiraling out of control.
So I feel like,
and now,
wow, it's tough. Oof.
And
now
then Taylor did come out and say, I was just there to what I thought was to say hello. I thought the meeting was supposed to be the different time. She was like distancing herself, and then she has not been around Blake Lively since. Not one photo, nothing. Like,
so they're
zero contact.
Why do you think that is?
Because I think she's probably doesn't want to get dragged into this.
Yeah.
What friend is going to allow you to get dragged into something like this?
So now they're both basically countersuing each other for hundreds of millions of dollars and the rights to this movie.
And she also doesn't want to get deposed, right? Which she very well might.
Oh, she won't be in
And
court,
then,
good
you
call.
know,
Then she's
we
up
all
on the
could learn.
stand.
Wow.
Yeah.
We could learn a lot.
There was a text message. Yeah, there was a text message communicated with with supposedly, and again here this is hearsay, but supposedly where Blake Lively refers to, she's like Justin Baldoni basically says, "My gosh, like what a experience being in the presence of such creative forces, you and your friends," meaning Taylor and Ryan.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm Khaleesi, and they're my dragons.
She refers to her husband and her best friend
as
dragons that she unleashes
on
people.
It's really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was in writing.
Come on.
And she honestly,
I don't know who talks like that.
I gotta be honest with
put
you.
it in writing.
These are my creative dragons?
Actually, I think I added the word creative.
No, there's no creative.
I added
she
that.
She said, they're my dragons, and I unleash them on people.
I think it was more quite... Yeah, I think it was that.
To me, and it's...
I've often been referred to as a dragon.
Yeah, I know.
And here's the thing. And by the way...
Joe, you're like, that's how I refer to you guys.
And by the way...
I'm Khaleesi, and you're my dragon.
Well, honestly, I add one word to that. Yeah. I'm Khaleesi, and you guys are my dumb dragons.
I think she also said monsters, too, but maybe I'm making that up.
This is wild.
I might be making that up.
She has, unfortunately, just... Go ahead, what were you going to say?
I was going to say one thing real
advice. As long as you say allegedly. You could say monsters.
Allegedly.
I just said I might be making that up.
It's weird because...
I'm no attorney.
I personally have a very weird... I'm like right in the middle right now. I don't know what is what with these people.
Me too.
Here's the weird thing, though, for me with Blake and Justin. I actually... And this might be complete perception. As we know, people perceive us to be a certain way. 99% of the time, it's not the case, and we're this other way. It's just the way it looks, not the way it actually is.
Totally.
Now, here's the thing. But for her, it's weird. It looks like she's manipulative.
There's a portrayal of her over a long period of time in the media where she does not come off as very likable or does stuff that is a little cringy. And I don't know whether it's just been edited that way and it's just circumstantial, or if she really is that way. But
it's funny. She gave me cringy. She gives me cringy vibes even as an actor.
People have talked about
It's
other
weird.
actresses. Like there's other who's the other actress that is not a big fan of her? Supposedly they're.
Well, I mean, they're in that Simple Favor.
Yeah,
You're talking Anna Kendrick.
What's her name?
It's
Anna Kendrick. She's an amazing director too. I don't know if you've seen her movie. It's unbelievable. She blew me. I was blown away. She's a movie on Netflix about the dating game murderers. Anyway, she's fantastic.
Okay.
But supposedly they didn't get along and had a big rift on set. And a lot of other actors too, in press interviews and stuff with her, have like kind of argued.
Yeah, well, the Leighton Meester clip I didn't like. She made a comment about Leighton being born in a cage because she was born in prison.
Ooh, it's really weird.
Yeah, that one was not
she made
nice.
a joke.
Wait,
yeah.
Blake Lively, that's not, she actually said that?
She made that joke.
I mean, I
on
saw
a
the
panel.
clip. Like, yeah.
And she was sitting 2 seats over, and she did not take it well.
Wow.
It was pretty sad.
Yeah.
Come on, it was a joke. Lord have mercy.
That was a lot of information about cages, and I'm sorry, I was still thrown off by that.
She was like, wow.
Who else didn't want to act in a cage?
Well, some of them
require a cage.
Yeah.
Well, look, there's, like we were saying,
Jesus, that's
like I was saying at the very
weird.
beginning.
It's
I was saying
weird.
when I was trying to set this whole thing up, I said it seems like there was one narrative, and then a pendulum shift to another narrative, and now those balls go
And it might go back. Who knows?
and it might go back.
Yeah, you never know.
But it feels like and then there's perception, and then there's hearsay, and then there's reality, and then all these things, and there's rumor mill. But it is so interesting when when everybody gets involved and you throw in a bunch of ambiguous sources, and it's like it's such a mess. It's such a mess. And at the end of the day, what's really sad is that they're in a position to like doing what we've done for all these years, like the Blake and even Justin and of course Ryan. Like, sure, they've all worked really hard and they've all done some great work, but they've been lucky with amazing opportunities.
Yes.
and tremendous wealth. It's a shame that at this level, making a film about such an important topic, and you have the rights to this really good book, and there's so much excitement because the movie has done very well. It was doing well before all this drama came out. It opened huge, so there was a lot of anticipation. I'm just saying it's a shame.
Well. It's a shame. Doing very well.
Well, of course, but it's a shame because interest has been piqued by everybody, even people that weren't initially interested in the movie, and now but I feel like it's just a shame that at that level, when you're making a film about that, and you have the money behind it they had, and you have the talent in it that you have, that it gets embroiled in these. If in fact this is like, who knows if this is part of it, to get the sequel, hyped up, or if it's just actually really happening. It's all alleged at this point in hearsay, but it's a shame that if it is real, that it's been mired in such controversy and conflict, when at the end of the day, having the opportunity to make something like this at this level is really rarefied air in an industry that's very hard to have these opportunities come.
That's true.
You would hope everybody would be able to.
That's what I was saying. Because I'm
be
thinking
grown-ups and make a movie.
Andy's directed a lot of movies, right?
Yeah.
I've directed
I would
TV
kill for
shows.
a shot.
That's what I'm saying. I've directed TV shows. But to have your third film be with talent like this,
Right.
at this level,
either way, it's the
finance,
whole thing. Yeah, it's
just,
pretty spectacular.
Sony jumps on board. You have A-list talent. I mean, like, think about.
You're right.
Dude,
Yeah.
your
What an
third
opportunity.
Film,
What an
you've already done.
opportunity.
How many movies have you directed?
Too many.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I'm saying, so
That-
my
one of them
point is,
isn't-
I have yet to direct a film, right?
Really?
Okay, I've directed TV, but I'm thinking to myself, like, wow, like, if that opportunity came to any of us, what a nightmare to be mired in this just smut from from like,
What a
wow,
bummer,
what
yeah.
a bummer.
Yeah, what a bummer.
Because you have such an opportunity
On both ends.
You do.
What enamors me is that everybody is so captivated by this.
Well,
I get it. Coming off of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing, like that was the best court drama that we've seen in the last 10 years. Like it was, I watched it.
This won't be televised.
Well, that's a bummer.
Because
See, now I'm not interested
I know,
anymore.
it's quite sad.
Settle it outside of court.
Well, the reason it won't be televised is because it's federal court, and Johnny Depp was in Virginia State Court in my hometown, actually.
No way.
Yes,
Wow.
Fairfax, Virginia.
Wow.
And it was because she posted the op-ed in the Washington Post, and there was a server in Fairfax, Virginia.
Oh,
And so they were able to find jurisdictional nexus.
wow.
Yeah. So that's how, and it's up to the judge to allow cameras in, but federal court, they're not going to. They should, because then you could probably sell the airtime or the ad time and
Wow.
pay the court.
Wow.
you
I
know,
thought of
pay
that.
everyone's salaries.
Well, I thought
for
of that.
a
I
year.
thought
My
maybe
favorite
they're
moment
just,
from that
you
Johnny
know-
Depp thing was that guy, that expert witness who was like, isn't he dead?
That
Remember that guy?
That was the televised version was a disaster for Amber Heard.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Wow.
But who was that guy? Wait, what
It was
that guy?
her
expert witness.
Expert witness was
Who's
But they asked
clearly
him about
Marlon
somebody.
Brando or something. He's like,
do you know the actor Marlon Brando? He's like, isn't he
dead? They're
problem
like-
was he didn't seem mentally stable or fit to be up on trial.
That was one of the greatest
That's
things.
Oh my gosh.
I watched most of it, but
Isn't he
Well,
dead?
we should show it.
and he's
It's
just
so-
kind of like looking, and he's like,
yeah.
"Is he dead?" And you're like, I don't think this man should be in any way, shape, or form a witness, let alone an expert witness.
called this guy
Amber,
to
you're
stand?
going down. I don't know who put this man up on stage. It's obvious to everybody. Who put
single.
this man? And then they cut to Johnny.
single.
Johnny Depp, and he swear to God, he goes
Yeah,
like
I
this.
kinda
He goes like this. He goes. Am I really witnessing this?
I think he actually went like this.
And
He
then
turned to his attorney
Yeah,
and
he
he went,
turned his attorney. I know. I'm like, what?
no, he didn't. He didn't do that, but I just,
Oh my
wow.
God.
was
that,
that
that
a-
guy single-handedly tanked the whole case.
Oh my God.
It was the
it was
wildest.
like, wow, that guy
Where did they
was-
find him?
Wow.
He literally, I don't know. He was
Man, I really
traveling
wish,
through time
I really
and
wish they
phone
would
booths.
find a loophole to
Oh.
televise this.
I know. But anyway, you're actually connecting dots for me. My question was like, why is
up here?
why is everybody so enamored with it? But that's what it is. You've got these, Hollywood, very big entertainers, and Taylor Swift, who's obviously the biggest touring artist. I mean, now ever, right?
well, you're
Yeah,
seeing the
Aristotle.
media aspect behind it too, because they're uncovering the PR aspects, which makes you wonder what you read in the media.
Yeah.
Because part
Yeah.
of this is the retaliation,
For
right?
sure,
Yeah.
releasing
And
each
they're
other's
saying,
text messages
Oh,
and stuff. And
were they trying to smear Blake? Was Blake trying to smear Justin? And then you're understanding that even when TMZ goes to a source, sometimes it's just a publicist, right?
Yeah.
And
I know.
it
Absolutely.
just opens this.
Well, that's the problem, is that, there's, like I said, that word, hearsay, it's just like,
And
It's
somewhere
just the perception, the perspective. I mean, it's all just open for debate, the whole thing, you know, and it's just a bummer. It's just a bummer. It's just like, ugh,
Yeah,
it's a
well,
big mess.
as-
a quagmire. You know?
honestly, as legacy media starts to wane and fade, along with not just what people are saying the reasons are, but along with the fact that just that style of television viewing is just, it also is waning and fading. Yeah. You have come across an issue where, just like a dying sun, it gets brighter and brighter. They're just struggling to capture more and more eyes and get as many as they can. So
and in
they
the
don't really
24-hour
care if
news cycle, they constantly need more clickbait because people are, back in the day, if a story, I remember like when we were kids, like when the rag mags came out, like that story would live, if there was a story of like some scandal,
one story,
it would live for months.
Yeah.
And they could just keep milking it. Today, it's with the same narrative. They wouldn't have to come up with another layer
Right.
to add to the narrative.
Interesting.
But now today, it's like
Timber.
within-
You're like
within-
building a fire and they have to keep packing on
within,
new logs.
But within 24 hours,
Have to.
it's like, okay, well, this outlet releases this, but then this outlet will release something from another story. Oh, everyone goes to that. And then it's like, well, we got to get them back on our story. So we'll release something else. And as long as it's hearsay, or we can have somebody say they corroborate it off the record or whatever it is, then we can release it. So it's, boy, it's just such a, it's a mess.
Well, at
Huge
least,
mess.
I mean, I saw that recently there was that SNL 50 thing, and I think Ryan.
Yeah, they
Ryan
went
Gosling-
their first
Ryan Reynolds.
public,
Not Ryan Gosling.
I always say Ryan Gosling. I mean,
their
Ryan
first
Reynolds
public appearance.
always made a joke about it, even.
Yeah, well, he had to address it. So I'm sure in Ryan Reynolds' fashion, he would want to do a joke about it. That doesn't
What was the
seem
joke?
out of the ordinary.
I didn't
They
see
asked
it.
him how he.
I thought it was actually funny.
It was. Amy
he stands
Poehler
up
or
and he
something?
asks a question.
Yeah, and like Amy Poehler, whoever it was up on stage.
She's like, Ryan Reynolds, hey,
Tina
how
Fey.
you doing? And he goes,
Doing
What?
good. Why? What, did you hear something?
why, what'd you hear?
Yeah, yeah.
And she
Oh,
goes,
okay.
She goes, oh, nothing. Good. Go, all good things.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
It
Okay.
was
Okay.
funny.
Okay.
It was.
Yeah.
It was funny.
He handled it well.
I'm not
He did.
blaming it. Not bad.
Yeah, I mean,
That's not bad.
you know.
I mean, it is funny because what Colin Jost was making he had a joke about Ryan Reynolds like a week ago or something on SNL.
Right. And
Because that connection, I'm like,
Scarlett, Colin's now wife, is
yeah.
Ryan's ex. And there's a weird
Oh,
rift
yeah.
there. There's a very weird rift. Something did not go right in their relationship. Something went wrong. You could see. There's a rift.
Well,
between
I
Scarlett
think he
and Ryan?
left.
Okay.
I think he. I mean, I don't. Again, this is all hearsay, but I think
He
the timeline is he left Scarlett Johansson for Blake Lively,
Yeah, I don't think that it's been corroborated that there was
and he's
an
a
overlap,
crossover. But that it
but
was
like people are
it's-
insinuating that for sure.
got it.
Mm.
Okay.
And yeah.
And yes, of course. So now her husband, who's an SNL cast member, does a joke about him, and then
Oh, that's right,
And then
'cause-
they're literally within
Because her husband is
earshot of each
Yeah,
other.
Colin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does the weekend thing, right?
Yeah.
Weekend update
I just
thing.
know that he bought the Staten Island ferry, right?
Yeah, with Dave Davis, whatever,
Yeah,
Pete Davis.
Yeah.
Pete Davidson.
He bought it?
Yeah,
I guess they bought
they're
it.
making
for
it
an
a club or
auction?
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think. It sounds like they haven't made any progress.
Honestly, it's going to be interesting to add a liquor license to that.
Yeah,
I don't know
well,
how the heck
that's
they're
right
going
Also,
to.
like, where do you keep it? It seems
That's
like a.
weird.
Unless they ground it, like they use it as like
Oh,
a
yeah.
bar, like actually like put it on a dock, but
Well, they
ground
could
it
do
and
that,
something like
'cause I
that. Use it
feel
as a
like on
structure. Because
This
that
river there was
yeah.
a bar
Yeah.
on a boat.
yeah,
Do
that's
it.
true.
Okay.
Anyway, well,
Wow. Yeah.
so when's this court happening? Next year? We won't know anything for
March
forever. So we're going to be living, we're going to be stewing in this
2026.
drama, everybody, for months.
Yeah.
Months.
I mean, they're still arguing about a subpoena for discovery right now.
perfect.
What does
They-
that mean?
Well, Blake's team had subpoenaed allegedly all of the records involving all of the parties and some non-parties on either Thursday or
What
Friday
kind of parties?
of
Like
last.
pool parties? Or, I'm kidding.
No, I wish, right?
Yeah, I know.
That'd be more fun.
Beach party, beach
Um,
blanket bingo. What kind of party?
But they asked for like 2.5 years of information from like AT&T, Verizon, from their cell companies,
This is
right?
insane.
Oh my.
This is like
Without
what?
kind of like without carving it back whatsoever, allegedly. And then basically Justin's team motioned the court and said this is overbroad, which if that's true, nobody's seen the actual subpoena on the public, at least. So if that's actually true, it does appear that they would be overbroad. But then Blake's team was fighting back, saying no, it was only non-content. They only wanted the call logs, which I was like, no, I don't really believe that. But then Justin's lawyer this morning, motioned again. He wrote a letter to the court saying, that's not what this subpoena says. It's asking for all documents. And you need to rule on this because AT&T or one of the carriers was already about to comply, allegedly. And so there's privileged information in that, right?
They don't want to piss off Deadpool. You know,
Yeah.
God knows what he.
Yeah.
Well, Mint Mobile.
Well, that's the other.
Mint Mobile.
That.
It's a direct competitor. This is an insider issue.
Right.
But does T-Mobile own Mint Mobile?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's T-Mobile now.
Yeah, so T-Mobile
Wait,
was
T-Mobile
one of the...
bought Mint Mobile?
Yes,
Yes.
T-Mobile
Yeah.
bought
Right.
Mint Mobile.
Was that the company that bought? I know
Yes.
he sold the company for.
Yes, and now he's and now
Yeah.
He's not the only owner.
No, he's not. the
and now
owner.
he still does the commercials, but I don't think he has. I think
Yeah,
T-Mobile
maybe
owns
stock.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he got...
Mm.
some
I mean, Ryan's amazing. Look, he's
No,
what an
he's
entrepreneur
building an
this guy
empire.
has
It's
built for
incredible.
himself.
Absolutely.
He's pretty admirable. Matt did a movie with him.
I did do a movie with him.
Oh, really?
He was a total
Yeah.
schlub then, but now he's
What was the movie?
I think it was renamed a few times, but I think it wound up being Boltneck. I'm not sure. It was Young Frankenstein, but in like for that era, which was early '90s or mid '90s, but current, like done like 10 Things I Hate About You.
Okay, yeah.
Ryan Reynolds was this really dark, like kid who would always sit in the back of the class and got teased all the time by these three bullies who were the guys from. There were a couple guys from Clueless, in him anyway, and they kill him. I find him walking home from school, and I take him, and I'm like a science weird nerd, and I take him back and I resurrect him, and it's Ryan Reynolds as Bolt.
This sounds
is
like
my
a really good
Frankenstein.
movie.
What? You're
Just-
like, look at
yeah.
this dead corpse.
It's my Frankenstein.
Let me re-go. I mean, what a.
Yeah.
I don't know what's worse, the bullies or this guy for like taking the dead body home.
Should I call the police? No.
I'll tell you the funny.
I'm going to take this guy home.
This is a funny story.
creep.
This is the funny part
Oh
about
my
this story.
gosh.
This is the funny part about this story.
There's something funny?
Yeah, that always not funny as in laughable, but there's something that's
Was this movie
so
a comedy?
ironic. No, so ironic. Yeah, but it was like a dramedy, like an offbeat.
Kind of like Pulp Fiction.
Ed
What?
Begley Jr. played my dad. It was just
Oh,
really
really? It actually
interesting-
sounds like
it was a really interesting movie. It just missed the mark, but it was a really interesting movie. Great script. Anyway, the funny part about it is that the production team was having a really hard time with Ryan. Now, this is young Ryan.
He wanted to wear his own clothes. Wait a minute. Wait a second. Are you telling me he was sending texts to the studio?
No.
That's amazing.
Back in the mid-90s. I wonder where Blake learned it from. No.
I'll never forget.
Allegedly.
All
hearsay.
I'll never forget. I was, I'd grown up in the industry, so I'd known my way around a set by that point. I was dialed in, right?
I couldn't keep him away from craft
He
service.
wasn't dialed
No,
in.
I'm just kidding.
Okay? And he'd walk out, didn't really, just wanted to kind of do his thing. And the producers were getting really upset because they said, and they even told him, like, Ryan, this is a bad Jim Carrey impersonation. We don't want just not what we hired you to do. We thought you can't impersonate somebody. You got to do your own thing. And he got upset at that. And he was like, I'm doing my thing. And then I was privy to a meeting between the director and this crew had come from, I think they were just nominated for an Oscar. So they were like kind of a big deal at that moment. Talk about frustrations on set with actors. Right. And I'll never forget being privy to this movie going, I can't believe this guy. We had so much hope for this guy. He's going nowhere.
That's funny.
He's like the biggest.
He's become
literally the biggest.
You never know in Hollywood, folks.
But here's the difference.
You never know.
And here's with the point I was making before. The whole thing's so upended now because if social media had existed then, I guarantee you somebody would have released something. Somebody would have come out on set. Somebody would have, had some background information they wanted to get out. Everyone's a source, And so, but, it would have been a whole different beast today if that was going on.
Yeah.
Whereas
and
back then.
they blamed, now, they didn't, but they blamed that movie not working on him because they said there was this whole conflict where they wanted to make it. They had come from a real drama, and they wanted to make it this offbeat. Remember in the 90s they were doing like those what the movie they were trying to Donnie Darko.
Yeah.
Do you know those
Michael
movies?
Bunny was in Donnie Darko.
Those 90s like grunge offbeat movies. That's what they were trying to make. And
even Cable Guy was a
Ryan,
dark movie.
honestly,
was a dark movie that like kind of was funny, but Cable Guy had some dark elements. Right. It wasn't like.
And to be honest,
Requiem for a Dream.
I'm not even mad at
Crying Game. What?
I'm not even mad at Ryan
Horrible.
in the sense that he actually stayed true to who he truly is authentically. Because honestly, he was trying to Deadpool it.
Right.
That's what he was trying to do to the script on set. And so there was this major pull between one of the lead actors.
He was Van Wildering it.
Who was Van Wildering
everything.
This movie that they wanted to be this...
Van Wilder in a superhero costume is Deadpool. I mean, that's what it is.
So that is where that is where my experience with Ryan Reynolds. Now he obviously matured as a human being, and but he was doing the same thing. That's always been his shtick, his thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
that's a great story.
It is a good story. It is a good story, and he's come a long way.
right?
Jeez, man. Well, Katie, we're gonna have you back on when this hot topic resurfaces.
Yeah. Honestly, if in fact all this gets played out in the public square, and
come back and talk some more.
Yeah,
then it won't be, I guess, hearsay anymore. Just a bookend it, right?
True.
We'll actually have some.
I mean,
we'll actually have some facts,
some hard,
some hard
stone
data,
cold proof
potentially
that you can lay out for us.
Potentially.
Such a lawyer.
Yeah, that's right.
We love it.
We love it.
Well, thank you so much, Katie, for
Thanks
coming on.
You guys.
Of course. Yeah, it's been a blast. Everybody out there, this has been the
I always
fun.
wanted to be a lawyer.
Is there any place people can? Are you out
Oh yeah,
there on-
Katie, where can people find you? What your TikTok? Yes, TikTok.
Wait,
what is your? She's laughing about this.
But you go on from a legal aspect.
Well, I will post. I will post
Cool.
anything at this point in my life,
Okay.
like in a bathrobe, like random thoughts.
Okay,
That's
like,
great.
Sometimes it is. I mean,
up close
a lot
and
of it is
personal.
But you're
like,
highly educated and you're
I
well
think
versed
so.
on this,
I-
which
yeah.
is that's. I mean, that's why we had her on, right?
yeah, but
No, absolutely not. She just I know her and had her on. Andy, you said you vetted this.
No, we met in the line at Starbucks.
Joe, keep quiet. I'm not even sure if she's a lawyer. Oh my God. What an episode.
It is Katie, right? No, I'm just kidding.
No, but anyway, but it's kind of cool that you have, you know, a legal background. You have the education to back it up.
Yeah.
You know,
it's fun to read these
mental
cases.
capacity to dive into these. You know, what do they call them? Those things that they release, those like the court documents, like those.
Well, yeah, I mean, right now it's just a complaint. At some
Yeah.
point there will be briefs.
Briefs. That's what
We're gonna print them out, stack them up on the table, and
I
read
always
them
have that
all
question
through.
myself. Boxers or briefs?
Yeah, me too.
Boxers or briefs?
No,
Everyone
they said
out
put
there,
the briefs in the boxes.
These guys won't let me. They just don't stop talking. Please like and subscribe. Go to YouTube. This is been the Brotherly Love Pod. We will see you next week.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, what's up, everybody? The
Lawrence brothers are here.
Thank you so much for enjoying this week's episode of the Brotherly Love Pod.
And if you want more of this show, check out our premium feed on Supercast.
That's right, where you'll see ad-free episodes, monthly AMAs, behind-the-scene content, and so much more.
That's brotherlylove.supercast.com to join.
Check out our link tree and subscribe on all platforms. We'll see you all next week.